Day 1. The bus ride went really fast. I sat by the window and Jack was next to me in the aisle seat. Summer and Maya were in front of us. Everyone was in a good mood, kind of loud, laughing a lot. I noticed right away that Julian wasn't on our bus, even though Henry and Miles were. I figured he must be on the other bus, but then I overheard Miles tell Amos that Julian ditched the grade trip because he thought the whole nature retreat thing was quote-unquote dorky. I got totally pumped because dealing with Julian for 3 days in a row and 2 nights was a major reason that I was nervous about this whole trip. So now, without him there, I could really just relax and not worry about anything. We got to the nature reserve around noon. The first thing we did was put our stuff down in the cabins. There were 3 bunk beds to every room, so me and Jack did rock, paper, scissors for the top bunk, and I won. Woohoo! And the other guys in the room were Reed and Tristan and Pablo and Nino. After we had lunch in the main cabin, we all went on a 2-hour guided nature hike through the woods. But these were not woods like the kind they have in Central Park. These were real woods. Giant trees that almost totally blocked out the sunlight, tangles of leaves and fallen tree trunks, howls and chirps and really loud bird calls. There was a slight fog too, like a pale blue smoke all around us. So cool. The nature guide pointed everything out to us. The different types of trees we were passing, the insects inside the dead logs on the trail, the signs of deer and bears in the woods, what types of birds were whistling, and where to look for them. I realized that my Lobot hearing aids actually made me hear better than most people because I was usually the first person to hear a new bird call. It started to rain as we headed back to camp. I pulled on my rain poncho and pulled the hood up so my hearing aids wouldn't get wet, but my jeans and shoes got soaked by the time we reached our cabins. Everyone got soaked. It was fun though. We had a wet sock fight in the cabin. Since it rained for the rest of the day, we spent most of our afternoon goofing off in the rec room. They had a ping pong table and old-style arcade games like Pac-Man and Missile Command that we played until dinner time. Luckily, by then, it had stopped raining, so we got to have a real campfire cookout. The log benches around the campfire were still a little damp, but we threw our jackets over them and hung out by the fire, toasting s'mores and eating the best roasted hot dogs I have ever tasted. Mom was right about the mosquitoes. There were tons of them, but luckily I had spritzed myself before I left the cabin and I wasn't eaten alive like some other kids. I loved hanging out by the campfire after dark. I loved the way the bits of fire dust would float up and disappear into the night air, and how the fire lit up people's faces. I loved the sound the fire made too, and how the woods were so dark that you couldn't see anything around you, and you'd look up and see the billion stars in the sky. The sky doesn't look like that in the North River Heights. I've seen it look like that in Montauk before though, like someone sprinkled salt on the shiny black table. I was so tired when I got back to the cabin that I didn't need to pull out the book to read. I fell asleep almost as fast as my head hit the pillow, and maybe I dreamed about the stars. I don't know.